Hello, Peculiars! Welcome back to the Peculiar Book Club. I am so excited about today's show where we're going to learn about quackery. And I see all kinds of people saying hi. We have Leanne back, and she had been traveling a tiny bit, I know, and she's returned to us again. We see hellos from Sarah and from Mike. Who else is here? Tori's around, Mike Breen. I love to see all of you here. I noticed that some conversations were happening in the sidelines, and a couple of you were talking about loving Lydia's acknowledgments in her book, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and we're going to talk about very soon. So, first of all, welcome to all of you. And I hope that you're ready for a show that will give us some healing vibes, so to speak. And of course, we have Davey, who's just as excited to be here as I am, with some quackery on tappery. Uh-oh, David.
Hey, everybody. There we go. I am very excited to be here. And, I mean, to put together a quiz this week, this book covers so many things. What would tie them all together? I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go back to basics. We're going to go back to the title, Quacks. Let's do a quiz about quacks. And you know my love of movies and TV. So these are quacks from the small screen. From TV. TV quacks. Yeah. So we're going to have some fun with this one.
Is the Affleck duck going to be part of this at all?
A lot of puns ran through my head. So many puns ran through my head.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of shows. So before any further ado, let me bring on our wonderful guest, Lydia. Hello, Lydia.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hooray.
So excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. Like I said, I just lost the, there was somebody had made a quick comment about your acknowledgments in the book, which were a lot of fun to read. Lucy saying hi, Lucy Santos, also an author. She'll be with us next season. And Sky, we said hi. We've got Jennifer, Lexi. I'm so excited to see all of you here, happy and ready. Lydia, I know that you're a big fan of quackery, and so I felt like we needed to do this cocktail right. So we shall begin by calling into existence the cocktail of the evening. Thing. Oh yes, thank you, Thing.
Yes. Thank you, Thing. You're welcome.
So we wanted to go with something that was going to be blue and has a little blueberry in the bottom, representing antimony, which, I'm sorry, I had to make a whole separate video about the everlasting poo pill, which I'll never be the same, you know? I mean, I'm sitting there thinking about what you could possibly inherit from Granddad. It's just a whole new experience for me. So,
you know, deciding between the everlasting poop pill or the puke chalice, I'm like, which one would I rather have? I would definitely rather have the puke chalice.
Yeah, I think so.
Kill somebody if they drank out of it.
So we decided to, in your honor, to create the blue drink. I hope everyone else has managed to make the drink as well. I know a bunch of people were out buying various concoctions to put in it. I actually make my own bitters, my own medicinal bitters, and so I was adding extra little bits and pieces from my garden.
Super cool,
super safe. So I no problems there. What name for our cocktail did you choose this evening?
So I ended up choosing the antimony title because of the fact that you actually put a little blueberry that was considered to be antimony. I was like, I had to go with that one. Also, I just love the word antimony because it's not something that I think a lot of people don't even know that word exists or that it's on the periodic table. So I was like, got to go with that. The real quack was like the real snake oil was pretty awesome. I was like, it was like a very close.
Very close.
Very close.
We always we provide a prize. So to the person who gave us Antimony Blues, we will be in touch with you. I also just want to say that people are pretty excited about your bookcases. And once again, we're almost in the same room. I sort of feel like, I don't know, you might, Leanne suggests that Room Raider would be, you'd definitely get A+ for that. It's pretty great.
Thank you. I'm pretty proud. I got a couple of my books up there. Oh God!
Oh, nice.
Listen, mirror. Let's see if I can do this right here. These are some of my books that are up there, and then this is actually something that my daughter made. So that's nice. Some child artwork, which is nice.
Child artwork, very good. Mostly what I have up here is I've got lots of books. I have more books than I I quite know what to do with in general. And
That's
this is a
not
constant.
a bad problem to have.
You're right. You're right. It's really not a bad problem to have. However, like they do tend to just all fall over all of the time. I did notice, and I did have room to put. We've got some emetic up here, a little turpentine.
Oh, very nice.
A little feverfew, and I know that you have some show and tell with us,
I
and
do.
we have some show and tell too from Kat Irvin.
I have some show and tell that actually I had on my sort of sideboard over there in the other room, and for a while I had this on my desk, and I had to take it off because I was afraid it was going to drop on the floor. It was going to get eaten by a dog. But this is this is fake, by the way. I just want to say, for the record, DEA, this is fake. This is a tiny bottle of heroin pills. It's actually empty.
Oh, very nice.
Made by the Bayer Company, which is the company, as we know, actually created and marketed heroin as a less addictive medicine compared to opium, morphine.
So it's much better for you than. I kind of love that, and the fact that didn't the name have something to do with it too, like. Hero, it came from Hero.
It did. It comes from so Bayer's a German company, and they tested it on some of their own people, their own employees, and the employees were like, it made them feel heroic, and so that's what heroin was from that
Very
feeling.
Nice.
But it was directly marketed as like a less addictive or non-addictive painkiller, cough medicine, that sort of a thing. And within a couple of years, they got taken off the market because they were so wrong.
Yeah, they definitely were. They definitely were. Well, a lot of our people have actually tried to get pretty fancy too, with their antimony blues. So we've got some other pea flower plant drops there to make it blue. Nice. They used Empress Gin. And then, oh yes, Susan Ballinger was talking about doing her presentation on opium. She wasn't on opium giving her presentation.
Oh my God, words. So much meaning. Oh my gosh.
And you have some tea. That's great. So we're very resourceful. We're finding our butterfly pea flowers. I keep wanting to say butterfly tea leaves. It's very confusing. But to get that blue, and it's all for you. But on the bright side, ours will not actually solve your constipation problems in a violent way, and also not kill you.
Yes, I know. Isn't it a great thing? No, it will not kill you. I also have just a couple. I have some more show and tell. Do you guys
please do.
These are the things that hang out in my house. Yes, I don't think anybody else has this in their house. So this is actually bought off the internet. It is an original bottle of calomel, which is mercury. So it is a mercury salt that was used for all sorts of things. And this is actually from Park Davis.
Wow.
And when you open it up, this is what really freaks me out. Unlike the heroin, this one's real. So it is actually full of pills.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it even has like a lot number on it and everything that's printed.
Oh, wow. That's disturbing.
Yeah. So a 1/4 grain. And the thing is actually sealed shut at the top. Thank goodness. So I guess my dogs can't eat this if it falls on the ground. But
you wouldn't want them to. Yeah, that's not a good one.
Yeah, I know. And then the last thing I have, I actually found this in a random like thrift shop. It was had a bunch of antiques in it, and it's something called Humphreys preparation. It's like super cute looking. Actually looks like money. And I picked it up thinking, oh, this is really cute. I actually haven't opened it yet, but inside it contains Nux vomica, which is strychnine, and it also has cinchona, which is where quinine comes from, which is also where it's a derivative of hydroxychloroquine.
Right.
Which, as we know, is very popular. Do you guys want me to look? The bottom's actually ripping open. Do you want me to open it?
Do you guys want her to open it? You do. Surely you do.
Like,
can I see a show of hands? I think this is pretty exciting.
Oh
my God, yes. Okay.
Maybe there's a lipstick in here.
I'm ready. I'm
I don't
very
even know
excited.
how old this is. My guess is that this is probably from the turn of the last century, so early 1900s.
Ooh.
My guess. So let's see if I can get
disclaimer. We didn't set her up or anything.
No.
Yes.
Never occurred to me to even open. I'm like unboxing this. I'm gonna try not to rip the paper. So
yeah, because it is very pretty. You're right. It reminds me of like British money.
Okay. Oh, it's like there's a fortune inside. Okay, so there's this whole big. Oh, look at that.
Oh, is it did you just find a message in a bottle? You guys, we might have just found a message in a bottle.
It's trying to sell me more stuff. This is Oh, look at this. So it's a whole thing on
Can you get a little
Humphreys.
closer? Can you
Yeah.
give her full screen there for a minute, Davey?
Humphreys remedies. Pleasant.
I love it.
Economical. They are reliable. I'm sold. I'm sold. This is definitely what I want. And like you can order all the different stuff in here. So that's what is in here. And then at the very bottom, let's see if I can open this up. Here it is.
Oh my gosh.
There it is. Look at that.
That is amazing.
Look at
Is
that.
it got a cork top? It does.
It does. It has a cork top. And oh, you can see the pills inside.
And they're purple.
Yeah, they're purple. Kind of bluish, kind of like your drink.
So like Nox Vomica, but in pill form.
Yes. Average dose, adults take 2 tablets before meals and at bedtime, in case you are wondering. It is a general tonic tablet. So, you know, tonics were these medicines that were given basically just to make you feel good. So it was sort of a non-specific, like, pick-me-up.
Right. Morphine.
Fixes everything.
Fixes everything for a while.
I think it's probably, you know, I think these days that's sort of what, you know, your cocktail does, right? It's general pick-me-up,
That's right.
makes you feel good, makes your cheeks a little pink.
Yeah. Susan Ballinger said she's disappointed it wasn't a secret note from Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh my God, actually, Gwyneth Paltrow's in here. Look at that.
She's just hiding in there like a very small vagina. We're PG-13, it's fine.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
this is the most exciting. You guys, I did not know there was going to be unboxing on this show. I would have advertised.
I just fly by the seat of my pants.
In the moment.
Here we go. Yeah. This was kind of cool. I'm not going to eat them though.
No, I think that's.
Now I have like strychnine residue on my fingers now, so I'm now sort of like, should I drink this?
Just be very careful, and drink. I'm just trying to get lipstick not on things because I've got this very bright lipstick. I'm also I told Lydia this already. I have this gold eyeshadow on because I was sort of trying to figure out a way to get like the gold pills, and I just love the fact that people were like edible gold. I looked up edible gold after reading that chapter because I thought I could buy it. I was going to try and put some in my cocktail for this evening, but it would have been not cheap. Yeah, it's not cheap at all.
I know. I guess you could have gotten some Goldschlager just to, it's pretty.
So yeah, or just eating glitter. I'm sure that's super healthy for you. Probably does almost the same amount of good.
Maybe, yeah. You'd have very glittery poo. I mean, either way, you'd have very glittery poo, which is
that's true.
Entertaining to somebody, but.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I suppose you could go panning for gold. No, let's not go there. I did see a question pop up, and I do please, folks, go ahead and queue up your questions. We're going to be doing a quick slideshow in a minute, but I did see a question already from Sky. Mm-hmm. If you could meet any of the ancient quacks, which one would you want to meet?
Oh gosh,
that's a great question.
Wow, that is a really good question. God, that's a good one. Who would I actually want to meet? I mean, part of me is sort of like nobody. I don't want to be near any of you guys. Because, a lot of the sort of ancient, like, philosophers and medicinal people, like, they weren't like, quacks per se. This is just what they believed at the time, and they weren't trying to do bad things. But, here's somebody I wouldn't want to meet. I picked somebody out. Not a quack doctor per se, but I would not want to meet.
You would not want to meet. Okay.
Mary Frances Creighton, who poisoned her brother with arsenic. I wouldn't want to meet her.
No.
She was not a nice lady.
No.
And she poisoned her. I think she gave him hot chocolate that was spiked with arsenic and ended up killing him.
Someone was just talking about chocolate milk and chocolate gold leaf. So, you could do double duty in there.
Oh,
there you go.
So, you give me candy covered in gold, it could be hiding all sorts of things. I will probably still eat it because it's candy.
Yeah. Sky did ask that if I were doing the unboxing, would it be a head? And, it's very possible. Whose head is hard to say. But I feel like there's a really good possibility that would have been in the offing there. Leanne has a great question. That did you ever meet somebody who actually believed, really believed in some very strange, antimony style cure?
So as some of you may know, or maybe not everybody knows, so I'm actually a physician. So I do practice medicine. I practice internal medicine, which means I have patients. And I have, I have heard of situations, very real situations, where people were doing some pretty strange things that were definitely not scientifically sound, and making major decisions about their lives, to do these. So I can't be specific because of HIPAA, but yes,
Right.
the answer is yes, I have, but I'm not going to. I can't tell you exactly what that case would be, but it's out there.
It's disturbing. I mean, there are people taking horsewormer right now.
Mm-hmm. They are. Yeah.
People
People take
things.
a little bit of information that might be somewhat factual, which is, that maybe, a certain medication might have worked, in vitro, like in a petri dish. And then they take it and then they run with it. And they're like, oh, the government's keeping secrets from us. And actually we can use this treatment to cure ourselves. And it's like, no. Data is lacking. Data is important. We should listen to data and not listen to this one little, people don't understand how a lot of science works. So it gets kind of sketchy.
I have discovered that. But it is interesting because there are some cures that were sort of 19th century cures that actually matriculated. My grandfather had all kinds of various ailments, and we've learned subsequently that the family has a lot of IBS, Crohn's, things like this, which is probably related. But he had a massive sort of one-person steam sauna where you'd sit in it and just your head stuck out the top. It looked like you were a refrigerator with a face. And he would sit in there and get the steam treatment, which this is, it's related to some kinds of cures from the 19th century, steam and water cures and things.
Yeah.
I don't know what
that's a big cultural thing in some countries, right? Like the saunas are big in, is it Norway or, so it, those are big cultural things that, they're believed to impart health, and they're, for the most part, probably pretty harmless. Right. But, unless you do something like this guy, which is kind of what you were describing, right? Somebody's half of their head sticking out.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see that? That person is getting a mercury steam bath.
Oh,
mercury vapor, which is one of the most potent ways to actually get mercury into your bodies is through like vapor. So probably this is such a fantastic thing. I'm going to show you some more of this picture because it's so perfect. So this guy over here, here we go. See this guy? That is a river of either vomit or saliva coming right out into this little cup. We believe it might be saliva though, because when you take enough mercury to actually cause toxicity, it causes excessive amounts of salivation, like pints and pints of spit. And that's
like
how
you just turn into a hagfish.
Yeah, basically. And that's how people knew it was working. So they were like, oh yeah, this is like the good stuff. And then here's a poor soul down here who has the signs of secondary syphilis. So these are all people being treated for syphilis, which is, why it's such a sad picture. People are not happy in this picture.
No, that's definitely not not a good one. Susan was talking about panegyric, and I've heard of that. I remember my grandmother talking about that too.
Panegyric.
Some of you were talking about like Finland did a lot of saunas. My grandfather was not from Finland. We were just basic hillbillies. I don't know where he got the idea of the sauna. But
Finland. Sorry, I got my country wrong. Finland. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's some great comments on here. If you just see me sort of cracking up, it's because I'm reading the comments.
There is so many. I mean, I love the peculiars. I can't even hardly keep up half the time, but you guys are so stinking funny. I love Sawbones. Yeah. Which is just this week, my sister got some nerves broken up in her lower back by radio waves.
Yeah, but that's not quackery. That's actually a real thing. But the funny thing is that it sounds like, oh, and she had these waves put in and it like fixed things. But like they actually do things like that. That's a real thing.
They do. Can we talk something Woodley eating clay and sunbathing her hoo-ha? Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We actually quote, we wrote about it in quackery. So Shailene Woodley shows up in the book in the chapter on geophagy, which is eating dirt, because she was thinking that clay fixes everything. Now there are some places and situations where eating dirt is a cultural thing, and it's considered probably, not that dangerous, and we're all right with that. But the idea that clay can sort of cure all manner of ills is probably not that really, really good. Now, there was actually, do you guys remember, okay, if you're of a certain age, you'll remember there was a medication that was out on the market called kaopectate.
Yes, wasn't that's clay, right? That was clay?
It had clay in it.
Totally
but
clay.
The KO part is like kaolin, so it had clay in it. They took it off the market because it claimed that it was going to do these really great things for your GI system when it was upset, and it didn't pan out, so they had to pull it off the market.
Oh, that's so funny. I do remember that. My mother dosed us with that kind of stuff.
So now you got to go get your own clay.
It's really hard to source clay these days too. Clay mines are, they're suffering just like the coal mines.
Yeah. But I can't get it.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of hoo-has tonight. Very likely, I have to say. I do like
your hoo-ha is probably not bad for you unless you get a sunburn.
Second degree hoo-ha burns is not something you want. Sky was saying that funny idea, and I think this is true. If something's happening, then it's working. Like it burns, so we're good. Yes. Like that. Yes. This is not the first book I've encountered talking about this, and of course I worked in a medical museum, and it's not the first time I've encountered this. But this idea that if it stings, it's working. I remember my mother telling me that. Yeah. You put some alcohol on it, the sting is part of it.
But you skin your knee and you get the Bactine, and you're like, oh, I feel so bad.
See, it's killing all the germs.
I think that's why a lot of people thought mercury was useful. You take this pill or this whatever, and it makes you poop your brains out or you're vomiting. And people are like, I feel something. Something is happening to my body, so it must be working. But because this was when they didn't know how the human body actually worked. This is all based on these false theories, like humoral theory, right? You have too much blood in your body, so you should remove it, and that will take care of the problem. Except when the problem is hemorrhage.
Well, Lexi suggested, here's a good cocktail name idea. This drink is burning, so it's working.
All right, that's different. That's true.
Yeah, no, it's very good. I'm having trouble. There's some comments on Pepto-Bismol, which of course bismuth is another mineral. You guys are on tap tonight. I'm having trouble keeping up with y'all.
Okay. I should ask you guys a question. This is like a medical question. So, what is a side effect of bismuth that I commonly tell my patients when they are taking Pepto-Bismol so that they don't freak out when they go to the bathroom?
I know this one, but I'm not going to tell.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I see Kristen's talking about Ipecac, and I do remember that.
Oh, I know. We could talk about Ipecac.
I know. There's usually a little bit of a delay, so people are probably typing, and we're going to set that aside. And I'm waiting for your answers. Oh, there it is. It also makes your tongue kind of brown and weird too the next morning sometimes.
Yep. No, it turns your stool dark colored, and the other very common over-the-counter supplement that turns your stool very dark, almost black, is iron supplements.
Yes, and charcoal pills. Actually, turns out.
Yeah. Oops. Charcoal. And God forbid you eat a lot of beets and you look like you're bleeding out your butt. That's really scary too, but that happens too. I've had to tell this to all my patients.
I in my PhD, I had a line that was the scatological contrivances of human effluence, and they made me take it out, but they didn't know I was going to end up in this job. See, so it would have been fine if they had understood.
Totally fine. So you're so well prepared for this.
I am.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I thought was really interesting, and what I want to make sure is that because there's this delay, this is the best episode ever, says Mike Brady. There's so much.
It's because we're talking about poop. We could talk about poop for the rest of the 40 minutes, and it will make everybody happy.
I'm shopping right now too.
That's fine.
My life calling. Yes, it is, Susan. I have waited my entire life for this.
Everybody poops.
Everybody poops.
Everybody poops. The ancient Egyptians had people assigned to your gut health called the guardians of the anus. They had their
my gosh. That would be a very different show than the Guardians of the Galaxy. Imagine, you'd have all the same characters, but they'd be gardening your, hoo-has and poop. That's basically what this is all about.
I know. That would be a very, very different Marvel movie.
Okay, since we're talking about ancient Egyptians and poop, I just got to get this out of my system. Terrible one, I'm sorry. So I used to work in a contraception museum, a museum of historical contraceptions, and my favorite that I loved showing people was they used crocodile dung suppositories in the vagina to keep you from getting pregnant.
I'm raising my hand. Can I speak?
You're raising your hand. Yes, Lydia.
Oh my gosh. So when I was in medical school, I did an elective where I did research on the history of contraception, and I wrote up a paper for it. And so, oh my gosh, how many years ago was this? Like 12 years? No, I guess it's like 20 years. Yeah, 20 years ago.
Oh, no, don't tell people that. 10, 5 years.
5 years ago. And I remember writing about the crocodile dung suppositories and, that they would use like wax cervical caps. Like they would take wax and just, it was like, they did a lot of really cool stuff back then.
My museum had one of the crocodile dung things. I was never sure exactly like whether this was an ancient crocodile dung or like someone just went and collected some crocodile poop. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but it was actual crocodile poop. And Mike Breen says it would totally work. It actually did work. A couple of reasons why. For one, I don't know what it did for your love life, but it definitely created an environment that was not hospitable to, say, an implanting embryo. So it changed the pH in a way that was probably not for the best.
And it also sort of blocked the whole passageway in the book, I do have a little, I have a nice little quackery piece on contraception from the Trotula, which is this sort of group of medical texts from 12th century Italy.
Yes.
So I'm going to read this out to you. It's called, I feel like there should be music playing. It's called Weasel Nut. The Trotula also gives contraceptive advice. Take a male weasel and let its testicles be removed and let it be released alive. Let the woman carry these testicles with her in her bosom and let her tie them in goose skin, and she will not conceive. So,
got it.
I can't imagine how that could possibly deter sex by finding a woman with a pair of fresh weasel nuts hanging right here.
Oh my gosh! Instead, like, did you bring a condom? You're like, do you have the weasel balls? I do. They're right here.
Do you have a condom? I don't, but I have these. And it's like, okay, yeah, see you later. Bye.
That's true. I do think there is a whole sense in which maybe some of this would have helped. Though we say that it would keep the suitors away. On the other hand, it's possible that everyone was like, I smell weasel, sex is on. Like, I mean, is that? It could actually be like a kind of reverse
Pavlovian thing, right? Sort of like, oh my God, it smells so bad. It's time to get it on. Like, right.
It is a good contraceptive for the weasel. That's true. It did work for the weasel. The weasel was
not having weasel.
He was not having babies. No.
Have you ever smelled a male weasel? I have not. Brandy, have you ever smelled?
I have. It's a long story, but they're pungent creatures. They're like ferrets on steroids. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
You smell the ferret like that, but like more.
That is good to know.
Yeah.
I will try to stay away from weasel.
I like the questions that are happening today. Like, how big are weasel nuts? It's a very good question. I'm sure the weasels would lie about it if you asked.
I don't want to say it's about the size of the blueberry that's in
that's inside the antimony. Right. Okay. So
like that.
This is maybe turning into my favorite show as well. I can't wait for this to be a podcast. Y'all podcast listeners, you are missing the live part of the show. You really need to sign up so that you can have these conversations live. Because it's really quite the thing. They make vanilla and artificial flavorings from beaver anal gland extract. Mike Breen, bring in the information that we didn't know we needed right now to this conversation.
I read that on Wikipedia like 15 years ago. Like, I think I remema that. Yes.
Artificial vanilla beaver anus. The Guardians of the Beaver Anus is producing vanilla. I mean, there's a children's book in here somewhere, I feel. Illustrated, highly illustrated.
I think if I wrote that book, the publishers would run far away from
Maybe. You never know. You know, it's a different world than it was when I was growing up. So we're going to go to our slideshow. JV has a lovely slideshow that is from Kat Irvin, who's one of our members. She couldn't be with us this evening because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. But she works at the Surgeons Hall, and she wanted to kind of bring this forward. So, Davey, I'm going to let you take over this section and kind of walk us through.
Oh, boy. Okay. I didn't know I was going to get that honor. All right. So these are Quack dentists, and I believe I'm going to guess here, Montbanks?
Montebanks? I don't know. You just go
Montebanks
with it. I'm going
in
to
the
go with
collection
whatever
of
you say.
Surgeons Hall. So you might have to squint a little bit to see some of these. I don't think I could blow these up or anything like that, but this is a blacksmith pulling a tooth out. So he's using his blacksmith tools to pull the tooth out. So these are actual photos, I believe, Brandy, right, that they shared from her museum where she works, right?
Yes, so she works at the Surgeons Hall, and they have a collection of images and advertisements that they have in their dentist area, and all about the kinds of things that they would do for dental quackery, which is terrifying.
Yes, clearly this person is being locked up for dental quackery in this photo. We are getting to some that I very much enjoy. On the left here is a blown up image of what's happening on the right, but apparently this man down here is being held back as a tooth's being extracted, and there's a very roarish crowd that I don't know. But you had in your book, Lydia, a lot of public demonstrations of things, didn't you?
Yes,
Some
we
things
did.
that probably should never have been put
We
on public
did.
demonstration.
Oh man. There's another person getting a tooth extracted down there.
Oh yeah, they look really happy about it.
Yes.
Copperplate engraving. Oof. Yeah. Oh, a hand drill and forceps and a tooth drawer. Oh my gosh.
A tooth drawer. What everybody needs in their house.
I love the fact that there's forceps. They use those things for everything.
Yeah, they do. They come in pretty
all you need, everybody knows, you just need a good pair of needle nose pliers in your toolbox.
That is true. That is true, though.
Series of the Five Senses shows a montbank extracting a tooth from a peasant whose arms are tied. Well, if you were extracting my tooth, you'd probably have to tie my arms down too.
Oh man. Yeah, well they used to like hold people down when they're doing like, they're cutting people's legs off. So there you go. Just so that they don't thrash around and cause more problems. Ugh, so terrible.
Oh my gosh. Look at this.
Strings of extracted teeth. Oh, so he's wearing the strings of extracted teeth around his neck.
Yep. We do have some comments happening. I've been not putting the comments up because I don't want to distract the images, but there's some really good points here. Right.
This one is my favorite here. He fires a pistol in the air so the crowd won't hear the screams of the patient. However, I actually think this one would work. I think if you fired a pistol right next to me as you pulled my tooth at the same time, I'd be so startled I wouldn't even realize what you did. It's almost like the slamming the door trick, right?
Yeah. The slamming the door trick. Actually, I remember reading that in Tom Sawyer when I was like a little kid in school. We were reading it, and like Tom Sawyer's aunt helps to pull a loose tooth. So he ties the tooth to a doorknob, and no, he just like ties the tooth to a bedpost. I think it's actually a fixed thing, right? And then she takes a chunk of fire, like a big chunk of like an ember out of the fireplace, and she shoves it in his face. So he just goes, so he just pulls back. And next thing he knows, the tooth is dangling from the bedpost, and he was like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad," because I was so afraid of burning my face off. I'm actually all right. But apparently, that's how Tom Sawyer got his tooth removed, as I recall from the book. That's
excellent.
Wow, no, that's good.
We do have one more. Mike Breen's popping. Another public demonstration.
This is an interesting interesting style happening here.
By his clowning. Oh, so they're putting on a clown demonstration to distract the crowd from how horrible it is.
Apprehension mixed with mirth. That would probably describe how half of the audience today is feeling.
Yeah, you know what? I think laughing gas is a better option, I think. Yeah. Mike Breen talking about a couple of them saying, yeah, a tooth necklace would be awesome, actually, and that it would be more preferable to have that over weasel nads. Mm-hmm. Turns out Kat said Kat, who provided the images, also said that she's now thinking of a secondary career in quack dentistry because she wants a tooth necklace. I feel like there's bound to be, a way that we can get these tooth necklaces. That needs to be a giveaway. If you guys find a tooth necklace, we're just gonna have to try it.
I'm so tempted to look on eBay, and I'm just like, tooth necklace. But I'm like, I shouldn't do that because my Wi-Fi might get all squeaky, so I'm not gonna do that right now. But aren't you kind of curious? Somebody's got to go run off and do that real quick and just report back. Can you buy teeth, human teeth?
Yeah, I agree with Sarah, and I agree with Susan, clown dentist. Nobody sleeps. They're not just terrifying. Think about it. If Pennywise, right,
Oh my God.
was like, instead of saying everyone floats down here, Pennywise was like, I would love to take your teeth.
Walking around with needle nose pliers, that would be that would be so much worse. That would be much more frightening.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
Brandy, we do know some local circuses that are looking for peculiar performances, and they may be coming up in future seasons. So
yes,
maybe we can put an act together.
Yeah, we do have a so there's a local circus school here run by Pinch and Squeal at the Whiz Bang Theater, and we will probably be I've already in conversation with them about live streaming from the location. So just putting that out there. If you're a local Cleveland person, you might get to come live. We can do juggling with teeth pulling. I mean, how much better could it get? Really, you'll be so distracted you won't even realize that you've lost all your teeth.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
how did we get here? What is going on?
Okay. We've traveled a little bit far now.
I can bring us back with a question though, because we are having so much fun and we're laughing so much. And Lydia, I noticed in your book, you have so much humor throughout the book. And I'm wondering, is it something that is it just a coping mechanism where you're like, okay, to get through all these terrible things, I have to inject humor? Or is it just your personality shining through?
It's a little bit of both. So one is that some of these things are just really funny and you kind of have to have a sense of humor to look at them. But we made a really decided choice to make it a funny book because sometimes history can be very dry and boring. And we didn't want this to be dry and boring. We wanted it to be really entertaining and funny. And we wanted it to be something that everybody can look back in time and firmly agree that, doing things like burning yourself because you have a broken heart from being broken up with is a really bad idea. Cautery iron to the skin.
Oh, no.
My heart is broken is not a healthy way to cope.
Right.
So,
right.
So that's why we put a lot of humor into it. There were a couple, there were moments where we're just like, Nate, you're being too silly, and we would have to rein it in a little. If you can imagine, we did rein it in a little bit. So
you can see we're not bothering to rein you in here at the show, though. We don't do that at all.
It's so funny.
It had a good rhythm to it. I did the audiobook, so it did feel a little bit like watching Conan O'Brien do a monologue, where you're okay, here comes the punchline. All right,
it was very good. I just want to Leanne was asking a question. If you ever write a follow-up book focusing on Earth, water witching is a great candidate because, if we're being peculiar, I feel like we can go all in.
I find that really, really fascinating. I'm going to have to think about that. I still have many other ideas sort of percolating, but that would be really cool.
Yeah, especially now because, frankly, water is kind of it's a bit of a now issue because we're sort of running out of it. Yeah. I saw another question. I thought this was quite a good one too. Why didn't anyone stop Benjamin Rush? That man was a menace, and I kind of agree.
He was a founding father. People really respected him. They really did. I mean, he was the guy who put together the whole medical itinerary of this is how you take care of yourself. These are your pills for Lewis and Clark. I mean, he was a really, really big deal. I'm going to say this wrong, the Philadelphia College of Physicians or something like that. He was a big part of all that. And, to his credit, he was one of the people who thought that there should be better care of people with mental health issues. So, he did a lot of good things. However, in the view of what we call heroic depletion therapy, which is I'm going to give you so much mercury that you're going to poop your brains out. And while we're doing that, I'm going to take out 3 pints of your blood.
Right.
He really believed that more was better in this realm. And he had a lot of enemies that were just they literally called him a quack. They're like, you are a quack.
Yeah.
You were probably killing people by doing that.
He was definitely killing people.
Yes,
definitely.
He was. And he's really stuck to his guns. He was like, no, I'm right. And, he wasn't. But like many things in history, very complicated. There's the positives, there's the negatives, and there's the, oh my God.
I was kind of interested to know, and I just want to throw this out there, that in the 18th century, bloodletting was still so popular, right? Mm-hmm. And I studied the history of birth, for better or worse, and they made they made smart observations and incorrect assumptions. So they noticed that when you miscarried, a lot of blood happened. So they thought you stopped miscarriage by taking all your blood out before you gave birth. And so this is explaining why so many women were basically unconscious by the time that they were in fact giving birth, because of that. So I do think that that's kind of, Benjamin Rush was not alone in his particularly unusual ideas about how to treat medicine.
That's right.
At the same time. Oh, this is a good question. Leanne asked, where did the term quack come from? Why?
Oh, that's a good question. So yeah, it's such a funny word, isn't it? So quack actually is a Middle Dutch word, and it comes from the word quacksalver, which is somebody who's a hawker of salves.
Interesting.
So,
It almost sounds like Quicksilver. I thought you were going to say Quicksilver.
But it's quacksalver. Quack is somebody who sort of like talks loudly or boasts loudly. And the salver is a salve. So it's somebody who you can imagine sitting on the corner of the street who's hawking his wares. So that's where it comes from.
So quack means to be loud. I mean, then it is related to ducks then.
Sort of. I suppose so. I'd have to look up the actual duck connection. I don't know off the top of my head. But
ducks are. I have chickens. Chickens are lovely. Yeah. Ducks are a real pain. They don't like you. They're going to let you know about it too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Just saying.
I have very little experience with ducks. I have more experience with chickens, and they seem to be very, very nice. So
they're very sweet.
I'm a chicken fan.
Yeah.
But snake oil, the term snake oil, it comes from like the late 1800s, actually. So when there was a guy who was actually selling snake oil, and that is ducks on landscape.
I get that. Ducks on landscape too, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. So yeah, snake oils actually it was on the Columbian Exposition, like in the late 1800s. And this guy Stanley was what's his first name again? Stanley. Blanking on his name.
I like that it starts with an S. Stanley.
Clark Stanley. So I kind of did get his name wrong. Clark Stanley was selling this salve that he claimed could cure all sorts of things. Basically, if you have a problem, man or beast, you can use the salve and it'll be great. And he like took a rattlesnake and he like chopped his head off and he put it into some boiling water, and the fat came to the top. This is at the Columbian Exposition, and he skimmed the fat off and he was mixing it into a salve, and he's like, "Hail my snake oil salve." And he made a ton of money off of it. And when they actually tested it to see if it had snake oil, it didn't have any, but it did have turpentine in it. Did you see turpentine on your shelf?
I do. Spirit of turpentine.
There you go. Yeah, turpentine shows up in a lot of these weird things. Like, look at that, turpentine. So useful.
You never know when you're going to
use
turpentine. I mean,
Yeah.
The things I have hanging around my house. The only useful thing on this shelf actually is the feverfew, which I grow in my garden, and that's for headaches. That's actually a flower.
That's really cute. That's cool.
I do not know this. So you guys know, my camera is backwards from me, and that's why I always put things in the wrong direction. I'm so sorry, but
I do that too. Have you noticed I've been like pointing at things like I'm like, it's over here. I have not been drinking the cocktail, but I can point. I just yeah. What else?
Sarah was pointing out we had a book, we did Exploding Teeth here. She was like, wasn't there a guy in Exploding Teeth that solved everything with reptile poo? I'm kind of forgetting
that book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had him on. Yeah. If it's a weird book, we've probably done it up here, or will do in season 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange stuff in there. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
I just forgot to mention, so all you folks that are enjoying this, you get to enjoy it again in December. Lydia's coming back for Patient Zero, which so if some of you were a little confused, we did a little switcheroo around because we were waiting for it to come out.
Yeah.
But this is also going to be available, and you can purchase this from Loganberry. And when that comes in, we'll be doing that one on December 16th.
December, like second week of December, I think.
It's the only time that we're doing things slightly differently. So we have 16th. Okay, we have December 9th is Mary Roach is coming on to do Fuzz. And then you are our last guest of the year, which is happening a little sooner than it usually does. So just you guys need to mark your calendars. Make sure you check. Normally it's the 2nd and 4th Thursday, but holidays. So yes, she's coming back. And so if you're enjoying this, we're gonna do it again, but with diseases. It's gonna be fantastic.
There's a lot of stuff in here. You'll have to find out what the relationship is between brassieres, and the N95 masks. So stay tuned.
Yeah, very good. I think I blurbed that for you, didn't I? I might even be on the back of that. So yeah, there's
you
infinity. The worlds they cross. We're having all of these wonderful. A wormhole's probably going to open up, and all of you will end up in my living room, and we'll all have cocktails. It'll be great. See, excellent. It's all good. Is patient zero funny too? There's tonal issues, right? Like some diseases are less funny than others. Epidemics, as we're all living through one, are not always funny. But I certainly found a similar, I'm sorry to speak for you, Lydia, but I certainly found in reading it, there was a nice cadence similar to this one where just about the time you're like, oh God, it's like, oh yeah. So it's nice.
Yeah, it's definitely not as, I would say Quackery has a lot of almost slapsticky kind of humor to it. And so,
one of my bra cups would cover.
Look how useful that could be. You know,
right.
your lingerie drawer could actually save lives. But yeah, no, I would say the humor level is definitely toned down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right. Because the subject matter is a little bit more serious. But yeah, there's definitely plenty of things in there to be quite entertaining. Maybe not slapstick entertaining, but definitely entertaining.
I did want to ask, and then I was just noticing we're flying through time here just because we're having such a good time. I don't want to miss our quiz with Davey. But I know that you also have a co-author, and that Nate also works with you, and he's not here. But how did you guys collaborate? Because as a writer, I find collaboration is both a wonderful thing and often very difficult. So how did you guys work that out as writers?
So we just it was a trial by error. We basically went into it for Quackery, at least. We were like, all right, we're going to make up a bunch of topics. And we did all this research on what we sort of thought we were going to write about. And then Nate and I just had this little, we sat there with like this bowl of topics, and I was like, all right, well, I want to do Mercury. And he's like, well, I want to do this one. And I'm like, I want to do this one. And we just divvied them up, and we didn't have to fight over anything. It was great. It's just pretty funny because Nate would be like, I really like beer. I really like my IPs. I'm doing the alcohol chapter. And I'm like, you do that. And I would be like, and he did the animal one. And I was like, I want to do the corpse medicine. I really, really want to do the corpse medicine chapter. And he was like, it is all yours. So that's how it worked out. So we each wrote our chapters separately, and then we would exchange them, and we would sort of fact check them. And I ended up fact checking the whole book because I'm the one with the medical background. And it sort of worked out. We ended up figuring out how to keep the same voice for every chapter. So it's really weird. So you can read through them and not really know who wrote what.
It's really nicely done.
Weirdly enough, we didn't have to try that hard to make that happen. I guess we have the same sort of, 14-year-old humor.
Well, you're our second author who had a co-author, and also our second author who also writes fiction. And one of our guests or one of our audience members, Kristen, would like to hear more about that. But I want us to hold on to that. So I want all of you guys to get those questions about Lydia's fiction queued up. And meanwhile, we're going to have Davey do his quiz, and we're going to do the quiz, and we'll come back and we'll talk about fiction.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I'm something I'm curious too, because I may have noticed that you may have written for a little franchise called Star Wars. So I may have to sneak a question in about that. You can see my Star Wars Legos over my shoulder here.
Oh, I do see that. I see them. Yeah, I have part of the Death Star in there in pieces over there. I apologize.
As it should be in pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's too dangerous.
That's true.
So for the quiz, researching how quacks have been represented in TV and movies and stuff like that. Of course, my search started with like Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil, and I was like, no, we're gonna get past that. And it turns out that sitcoms love having quacks as reoccurring characters. They tend to be a lot of comedy coming from this. So the quiz this week is about small screen quacks. And oh boy, I didn't realize it's cutting off our faces a little bit. I'm gonna have to shrink that down for next time. But small screen quacks. So I'm gonna ask you about 3 different small screen doctors and different multiple choice questions about each one. So we're gonna start with The Simpsons. Springfield doctor Nick Riviera, hey everybody, has made many questionable diagnoses and recommends Grandpa Simpson get a transdental electromycide to cure what? Is it A, bonus explodus, B, bonus eruptus, or C, bonus compressus?
Oh my God.
And the peculiars, if you know peculiars, go ahead and help her out here.
This is
No,
too
Sarah,
funny.
it's not questions about house this week, Sarah.
It's never lupus. That's
I will tell you
Never
that
lupus.
to perform a
Dr. Nick.
transdental electromicide, he needed the car battery from a golf cart.
I really want to say bonus explodus just because it sounds the best, but it could. I don't know. I think it's going to be A or B. I'm actually using my medical brain to try to figure out like what's going on. I'm like broken hip. That would probably be bonus explodus or bonus eruptus. Eruptus would be like coming out of the skin, so I'm going to say it's bonus explodus.
It's actually B, bonus eruptus. He warned him that his bones would jump out of his mouth, and that he needed to perform the surgery on him. Poor Grandpa Simpson.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
And I now have watching YouTube clips, I now have a new appreciation for the character Nick Riviera. It might be my favorite Simpsons character now.
Everybody knows that in a test, if you don't know what you're doing, just guess B.
All right, we'll see how you do on question 2.
Okay.
We're moving over to the TV show 30 Rock. When actress Jenna Maroney is suffering from hysteria, 30 Rock doctor Leo Spaceman, right, that's how it's pronounced, tells her, unfortunately, there is no field of science that deals with the brain, and hands her a pamphlet for what? Is it a pamphlet for a sanatorium, a pamphlet for a relaxing spa, or a pamphlet for a cult? And I totally threw the answer one up.
You totally the answer is C, a cult. I saw it.
Oh no! I got him out of order. Darn StreamYard. It is a pamphlet.
I'm just being a laugh track down here. Don't mind me.
The things he says on the show are just unbelievable. All right,
How
question
did you
3.
pronounce his name? Leo.
It's Leo Spaceman. but Tracy Morgan does call him Leo Dr. Spaceman.
Oh my god, I like Spaceman better. That is so awesome.
All right.
Question 3 here, and this is the question.
Okay.
We're going to the show Arrested Development. And when Michael Bluth, star of the show, gets Dr. Stein, the self-proclaimed best doctor in the state, to perform his surgery, he ends up with this physical alteration without his approval. Did Dr. Stein shorten his calf muscles, lower his ears, or swap fingers?
What? I'm going to say lower his ears.
Let's see what the peculiars say.
What do you guys say? Help me out here. What do you guys think? I know it takes a minute to catch up.
Yeah,
Shortened calf muscles, lowered ears. I'm just like, my ears don't swapped fingers?
Swap fingers, yeah. Let's see.
And again, I'm thinking like medically, I'm just like, what would be the easiest thing to try to do? And I'm like,
well, I don't know. Like if you swapped your fingers, you could point at things and accidentally flip people off.
If you shorten the calf muscles, he'd be walking on his toes all the time.
All right. Leanne says fingers. All right.
So the answer was he shortened his calf muscles so that he could jump higher. And if it works, he'll be a genius.
Oh my god!
He did in the tag at the end of the episode. Another character gets his finger swapped, and he has his middle finger where his index finger is. I don't know how they did it.
You can because everybody needs that.
Visually, they did it where he holds his hand up, and this finger is the longest. I don't know how they did it. But yeah, he said it was so he could jump higher, shorten his calf muscles.
Oh my god! So Sarah got it. Sarah had it. The rest of us were like, we have no idea.
Very nice job. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I know, Sarah, you did it. You actually got it right.
So as you can see, TV shows really enjoy a good Quack character.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I love The Simpsons. I forget how much I like them until I go back and I'm like, oh, that's right. It makes no sense.
That is so funny. Because Brandy and I were just talking about how, like, do we have enough time to watch shows because we're so busy? Yeah, and I was like, and I think this basically proves that there was a very long period of time where I was watching none of these shows, and is why I know none of these answers.
I highly recommend all these shows. If you want a good laugh at the end of the night, Arrested Development, 30 Rock. Obviously, The Simpsons is legendary.
Simpsons is legendary. Well, okay. So first thing I have to do is, so there's some very important pills in here. So yes, very important pills we got to talk about for a minute here, and then I promised we would talk about fiction, so we will. But this first pill, I have to, let's see. So it's supposed to make me understand things better, right? It's supposed to, because we have to have people that win prizes on our show. And, it's been a long day. I'm kind of tired. So I thought maybe I would take one of these magic pills and it would tell me who won.
Oh, my God. What is in that?
Oh, no. Oh, Stacy Stensley? Stacy Stensley. Yeah, so she won a prize. Stacy, you're gonna get a prize. Yeah, you get some swag. Okay, wait. We always do too. Let's see what this one says.
These pills, of course, not only increase your mental capacity, but they also cure syphilis, just like everything else.
Just because, right?
They
Sure.
also taste like guilt and regret.
This one tastes a lot like Chris Cruz. I think this one tastes like Chris Cruz. So Chris Cruz, you are also a winner today. So congratulations to Stacy Stansley and Chris Cruz. Many thanks to this lovely quack medicine that helped me get to that. So, that was. I think it's mints, actually.
Altoids? I was going to say, are they Altoids? Okay.
No, there's something like that.
I did that for Dr. House for Halloween one year, and I had a pill with white Tic Tacs in it.
So you just like handed them out.
And I was just popping Tic Tacs all night out of the pill bottle.
So we have a couple of names. This actually came, believe it or not, this bottle and the other one up there came from. Did anybody watch the Knickerbocker Hospital? They did the show on Netflix. Yeah, so I was working for a gentleman who was frenemies with Stanley Burns, who was the consultant on that, and they like to explain a brag to each other. So he sent us a bunch of swag from the show, and so that's how I got the nervous pills.
That's really nice. That is very nice.
Yeah, so very interesting. Okay, there were questions about fiction. You guys haven't queued them up, sadly, so I don't actually see them on here. So
Does that
hopefully
mean I
you're
get to
typing
ask her about Star Wars first?
You get to ask her about Star Wars first.
So you got to write for a very interesting Star Wars book, and Star Wars has taken a lot of liberties with the phrase "a certain point of view."
Yeah,
and it has a lot of their storytelling. So, I mean, what was that experience like, in getting to tell a story in that world?
That was super cool. So they basically just, emailed my agent, and they were just like, "Hey, we're doing this anthology for the 40-year anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. And we want 40 authors to write stories from a certain point of view," which are basically these fictionalized points of view of minor characters in the movies. And we kind of get to do whatever we want with them. But they were like, "Yeah, but it's canon." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's canon." So the first thing I said was like, "No, I'm not going to do this. Like, it's Star Wars. What if I mess up? Like, I can't mess up something like that. It's too important." And then my husband was just like, "Are you out of your gourd? Like, of course you have to say yes." So I said yes, and then I was like, "But what am I going to write about, and who am I going to write about?" And finally it occurred to me, I was like, "Oh, I have to write from the perspective of the medical droid. At the end, the one who attaches Luke Skywalker's hand." And so there is this big period of time when he is rescued, and he's on the Millennium Falcon. And then he gets his hand fixed, and he's looking out the window, and he sort of like looks kind of hopeful or whatever. But there's like a chunk of time missing there. And so I decided that I would actually do that scene where we have the medical droid who is talking to Luke, and Luke is really sort of processing all the stuff about finding out who his dad really is and having his arm cut off. And that's how it happened. So I wrote it, and it's in it, and I am part of the Star Wars universe now.
Yay! Yay! That's so great.
That's excellent. That's interesting that they let you kind of find your own path, and that they weren't like, "Well, you are a doctor, so how about do this story about the medical droid?" That you kind of took your own path to it. That's very cool.
Yeah, and that's why I ended up doing it, because I was sort of like, I don't want to screw this up, but you know what I do know? I know what it's like to take care of patients, and I was like, I can do this part. And so that gave me enough confidence to say, I have a little something that maybe the other authors don't have access to. And I felt so I was just like, yeah, this makes so much sense. And automatically, I had the story in my brain. I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, so now I haven't read it, but was Luke a whiny patient? I just have this idea that he might be.
He was not. You know what? He was not. He was in a lot of pain. And so there was,
okay.
Not a whiny patient. This is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Far away.
Yeah, they take care of pain. He was in psychical pain. He had a lot of.
I was gonna say they have Bacta spray for the physical stuff, right?
Oh yeah, no, he had Bacta all over that. Yeah, taking care of all that.
He matures a lot in The Empire Strikes Back. If this were Luke back on Tatooine in the beginning of the journey, he probably would be a pretty whiny patient.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that hand looks. We should go to the station.
Sarah says so much man pain.
So that was something that I did. But as far as my other book, I don't know if you can see them up there, but let's see. So there's Opium and Absinthe, sitting at my finger. Up here, that was written in
Opium and Absinthe being right up our street, frankly.
Yes, and there's a lot of Opium and Absinthe. Actually, we talk about possible vampires happening in 1899, and an opiate addict, which is I had to do, very carefully. So that's backstory. Then I wrote A Beautiful Poison, which is historical fiction, also takes place in 1918, and we were dealing with murders and morphine as well. The Impossible Girl.
There we go.
Is about grave robbers.
A frequent theme on this show.
It is a frequent theme.
Yeah, so I went with that whole grave robbery thing, and I just turned it into a whole book. Then there's some of my young adult books. Color Outside the Lines, that's an anthology. November Girl is young adults. So
you've been very busy. You've been a very busy person.
I have been very busy, which is why I haven't been watching 30 Rock.
It's the only reason not to, right, Davey? Like, if you're writing a lot of books, then you're off the hook there.
Control and Catalyst are about mutant teenagers, and Toxic is about a sentient spaceship that is on the verge of dying, and the people who are living on the spaceship who are probably going to go die with it. So that's what Toxic is about.
What about Impossible Girl? Asks Leanne Weiberg.
Oh, so Impossible Girl takes place in around 1850. And the main character, who is half Chinese, she has this unusual anatomical thing, which is that she has two hearts. And there's rumors of a girl with two hearts. And, the anatomists would love to get their hands on her. So she is, in order to sort of stay on top of the possible chance that she might get killed, she herself is actually a grave robber. And so she dresses up as a guy as her her so-called brother. And she is a really expert, a very highly sought after grave robber in New York. That's sort of what that story is about.
That's fantastic. Scott just asked if we could get links or list in Facebook or email. You know what? If you've got a quick place for us to find all these on your site, could you send me that, Lydia?
Sure,
and then I'll get it to our Facebook page for everybody.
Yeah. Great idea. My website is just lydiakang.com. It's fairly straightforward, and there are links from all my books there as well. So
we could throw there it is at the bottom of the page there.
Yeah, there I am.
Chloe Rogers and Sky both saying we need a bingo board of our topics and phrases, and the grave robbing is going to have to be one of them. Also, Sarah has very kindly made us. We have a Goodreads page now, and Lydia's books will be up on our Goodreads page as well. So it's another way that you guys. Yeah, we're getting there. Thank goodness for the Peculiars. Actually, Leanne jumps in and helps. Mike jumps in and helps. A lot of you folks are great, because this is really not just my show. This is an endeavor by everybody here, and it's a big weird found family, and we really mean that. So we're really excited that you could be on with us, and we are excited because you'll be back. So we're not even saying goodbye. We're just saying we'll see you in a while.
I will see you, exactly. Au revoir. So thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun with you guys. Thank you for everybody who was chatting. You guys were making me laugh the whole time.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic. And so once again, thank you for joining us for the Peculiar Book Club. If you're listening in on the podcast, you can also join us live, libations. It happens. Join us live by joining by subscribing, or also by getting to the individual shows, or going to our website, which is brandyschillace.com/peculiar. And you can find us pretty much on every platform. We have a new podcast as well. Once again, thank you for joining us at a place where, if you're weird, you're family.